What is up, guys, and welcome to the most anticipated 2022 video, a Havoc Demon Hunter guide. You guys told me in the comments and some past live streams that you wanted me to make a guide about the Havoc Demon Hunter. Because let's face it, there are a lot of good but confusing guides out there. After our latest live streams about arenas in PvP, and of course helped by my boy, the one and only best healer in Europe, a Paxel, I decided to make this guide, especially because we defeated Mage Rogue comp many times until it became actually relaxing to play against them. I'm sorry guys, your comp did become boring.
Emotional, damn it!
Alright, so let's start with the obvious. Talents. For the first row, we go with Fellblade. Fellblade is a gap closer, good damage, and actually generates fury. This gives you a lot of mobility and you can chase your targets around. It makes it harder for them to kite you. If you're spec'ing to Demonic, and I think it's the only talent for the last row that it's viable, you can consider Blind Fury, but only if there's a comp that cannot easily interrupt I-Beam for you. If there's a comp with enemies that can easily interrupt it, don't go with Blind Fury. It provides a bigger burst, bigger I-Beam duration, but not worth it if it's interrupted, obviously. And with Fellblade, you also have a chance to reset it with Demon Blades, which is passive and it's basically your auto attacks, RNG. For the second row, if you're spec'd into Fellblade, always go Demon Blades. Gives you a hell of a lot more fury and you actually deal additional shadow damage. I think there's no other viable talent in the second row, as fury generation is best with Demon Blades and Fellblade. Especially for the first two rows, I would not pick anything else. For the third row, I think Unbound Chaos is the best talent, because when you use Immolation Aura, and you should use it on cooldown, it increases the damage of your next Fell Rush by 300%. This is a huge burst, by the way, and you can hit multiple people with it. These synergize together so well for damage, and Trail of Ruin does not increase that much damage for this row, to be honest. You could pick Glaive Tempest if the targets are always playing close to each other. This is the equivalent of the Legion artifact spell. You spawn two glaives and they're AoE damaging. But the thing is, it's a very short duration and I wouldn't pick it. Unbound Chaos has way more uptime. For the fourth row, all three talents are especially useful for different defensive situations. For example, against a rogue mage, when I am bursted down and I'm the focus target, I will pick Netherwalk. Slip into the nether, increasing movement speed by 100% and becoming immune to damage, but unable to attack. This is huge and it lasts 6 seconds. This is like our own version of Bubble. This gives your healer time to heal you. And yes, for high rating, you do want to play with a healer. I would say Resto Druid as a great comp, but hey, I'm biased. Your healer heals you, Netherwalk fades, and then you can resume your arenas. Even activate Blur if you think you're gonna be bursted down again. If you pick Desperate Instincts, Blur now reduces damage taken by an additional 10%. Additionally, you automatically trigger Blur with 50% reduced cooldown and duration when you fall below 35% health. This is useful if you're playing against a burst comp and you're not sure who to focus. Again, not a rogue mage situation, because usually when you burst down one of them, they usually run and try to kite. So you're not gonna be facing a lot of damage when they run from you. You basically put your Fleshcraft up, which is an ability that I'm gonna get into. The first row, Soul Rending, Leech increased by 10%, gain an additional 20% leech while Metamorphosis is active. Basically, Soul Rending gives you healing received from your attacks. This should only be taken with demonic builds, but as I said, I only picked demonic for the last row. This talent has a reduced effect in PvP, but it's still definitely worth it against a lot of comps, especially Affliction Warlock and Shadow Priest. I usually pick Soul Rending if there's not a big burst group that could kill me before my healer can save me. If that's the case, I pick Netherwalk. I rarely pick Desperate Instincts myself, I just know some possible scenarios where I could pick it. I'm either going Soul Rending or Netherwalk. For the fifth row, I'm always going First Blood. Why? Because First Blood reduces the fury cost of Blade Dance, and our rotation is based around Blade Dance, and it increases the damage to 5000 against the first target start. This also goes well with Mortal Dance, which gives you a debuff that you apply on the targets, and their healing is reduced by 25% for 5 seconds. So not only you deal increased damage to your target with Blade Dance, you also reduce their healing. This is very powerful against healers. This is the only talent I would go for. For the sixth row, I experimented last Wednesday with Master of the Glaive, and it proved itself very useful, especially against, let's say, mages or druids who can kite you really easily. You have 2 charges of Throw Glaive, and your enemies are slowed by 50% basically. That means they cannot really run from you, and I like to cast first Throw Glaive, then I activate my Immolation Aura, which gives me, for my next Fell Rush, 500% damage, and then I just Fell Rush into the target. Then I go, Blade Dance and continue my Chaos Strikes. Blade Dance obviously gives them reduced healings, increased damage, and there's a lot of pressure on that target. And Master of the Glaive can help you even more with Father to the Flame, because you can slow your target and then your demon spawns. Then you kill it, you get the demonic soul from it, and heal yourself. You slow the target with the second throw glaive, you cast Immolation Aura, you damage them with the Fell Rush, Blade Dance, Chaos Strikes, all over the way. But it's very worth mentioning that we have another strong talent in this row, Fell Eruption. Impales the target for 900 chaos damage and stuns them for 4 seconds. This is especially if you need more CCs, because as you know, as Demon Hunters, we just have Chaos Nova and Imprison as CCs. This helps you get an additional CC if it's needed. This is usually in situations when you feel like your CCs are not enough or your healer is in trouble and you want to help them with an additional CC. It did happen to us that I wanted to save him, they were bursting him down, and I just needed Fell Eruption in that arena, not Master of the Glaive to slow them. So pick Fell Eruption if you need an additional CC. If not, pick Master of the Glaive. And for the last row, always go Demonic. Ibeam causes you to enter demon form for 6 seconds after it finishes dealing damage. This goes really well because I also use the Collective Anguish legendary, which heals me when I cast Ibeam, because it also casts Fell Devastation. So you just heal yourself with Ibeam, you deal a lot of damage, you go into demon form, you get increased leech if you play with Soul Rending, and obviously it's a big damage boost and resistance boost. There was a time where I could have picked Momentum, but it was completely nerfed and I no longer think it's a worthy choice. Let's cover PvP talents, because this is what gets confusing. I would say the basic burst spec, like a default spec, would be Chaotic Imprint. Throw Glaive now deals damage from a random school of magic and increases the target damage taken from the school by 10% for 20 seconds. This ties really well with Master of the Glaive and Father to the Flame, and increases your damage to the target from another School of Magic. Isolated Prey, Chaos Nova, Ibeam and Fell Rush gain bonuses when striking one target. Chaos Nova stun duration increased by 1 second. Ibeam target takes 10% increased damage, and Fell Rush generates more fury. Isolated Prey is especially good when you're attacking the healer in a DPS healing comp, and the healer is running away and the DPS tries to attack your healer. So basically you're isolating a target. You just have to hit one target for it to be isolated. And like I said before, Mortal Dance. Blade Dance now reduces target healing received by 25% for 5 seconds. This is useful against some DPSs too, because DPSs have self-heal now as well, including us, Demon Hunters. I would say go default with Chaotic Imprint and Mortal Dance, and then Isolated Prey could be situational with another talent, but sometimes I replace Chaotic Imprint as well. For example, if I know there's a big burst group like Retribution Paladin and Enhancement Shaman, or 2 Wingwalker Monks, or some, I don't know, any other Mongoloids, even Rogue Mage, I am picking sometimes Rain from Above and Netherwalk. Rain from Above, it's a very powerful spell. You basically jump into the air, you cannot be attacked by important melee classes, and you can damage them from the air. This gives you a way out, but keep in mind that mages, paladins with their judgment, hunters, every range class and range spell can damage you in the air, and you're basically unable to use defensives or do some sort of self-healing because you're in the air with only one ability. So use this wisely. I would say use this as a last resort. Got that joke? So yeah, Rain from Above goes only when Blur and Netherwalk are not enough. Or as another talent, you could consider Reverse Magic. Removes all harm from magical effects from yourself and or nearby allies within 10 yards and sends them back to the original casters. For example, Reverse Magic could remove Polymorph and Hammer of Justice, the coffee stun as we call it. And you could actually reverse the debuff that the shackles deal to you, that reduced healing debuff. I'm not using this talent as much as I should, but I also have a good teammate. Now let's go to Covenants. I think the Necrolord is the best Covenant for PvP as of now for Havoc Demon Hunter. Night Fae is also good, but I found myself way more vulnerable with the Night Fae rather than the Necrolord. Necrolord gives you that extra resistance that you so much need because you're a squishy class, and it provides you more room to operate. So for me, Necrolord all the way. If you like big bursts, you should go Night Fae, and I could give you a little bit of advice. You should have a macro to interrupt the hunt, just so you don't cast it when someone bobbles. And you should go for Karain as a Soulbind. Now, back to Necrolord. We have the Fleshcraft ability, which is the best for us. Form a shield of flesh and bone over 3 seconds that absorbs damage equal to 40% of your maximum health for 2 minutes. While challenging, your damage taken is reduced by 20%. Moving near an enemy corpse consumes their essence to reduce Fleshcraft's cooldown by 1 second. This passive is really fun when you're playing in BGs especially. So great resistance, the initial burst or the initial stuns of a rogue, for example, do not really worry you into using your medallion, and that's, by the way, our only CC breaking, apart from healer dispels or any other arena partner dispels. And another ability which is RNG, but pretty great when it procs. Father to the Flame. Your damaging abilities: spawn a demon for 25 seconds. Thorglaive does lethal damage to the demon, which explodes on death, dealing damage to the nearby enemies and healing you for 25% of your maximum health. Imagine when you're bursted down, you're playing with Master of the Glaive, you spawn a demon, you heal from him, and then I don't know, you have Fleshcraft off cooldown. Huge defensive. We survived so many bursts because of these two Necrolord's significant signature abilities. And the explosion of the demon gives you a demon soul. When you absorb that demon soul, you get a little guardian, but that is only if you play the Plague Divisor, which I'm gonna get into right now. I'm playing Plague Divisor because of many reasons, and also because I did not unlock my last Soulbind. But still, I saw many people playing with Plague Divisor as well, so I might as well recommend it for many reasons. Volatile Solvent. Fleshcraft's passive effect consumes a corpse's essence completely, granting a benefit based on the creature's type, which is humanoid or other types, but for PvP is gonna be humanoids. Casting Fleshcraft also consumes a small portion of your own essence, granting you the humanoid benefit. The first conduit that I'm playing with, very important for you to loot this one if you didn't get it yet, because I did get it pretty late. As you can see, it has item level 200. It increases the duration of your empowered demon soul obtained from Father to the Flame by 7 seconds. So basically, when you kill your demon, spawned from the Father to the Flame, that empowered demon soul lasts additional 7 seconds. Next we go for Ooze Frictionless Coating. When reduced below 50% health, Ooze courses over you, granting you a shield for 50% of your maximum health for 10 seconds. Again, super defensive. You cannot be bursted down, but it only occurs once every 30 seconds. Now, until now I talked a lot about defensives, and you might be like, hey, I can play with the DPS too, right? Yes, but in higher rating I would recommend healers. You are very powerful as a demon hunter with a healer. For the next row, obviously we go Fell Defender. The cooldown of Blur is reduced by 13 seconds. Blur is one of our best defensives, and we should benefit from it as much as we can. Next is Plagueborn Cleansing Slime. Defeating enemies has a chance to deploy your Plagueborn Cleansing Slime, which improves the remaining durability on your armor. We're picking this just because the other talent is improving our lockpicking. For the next ability, Dancing with Fate. This is like a potency conduit that should be used on whatever covenant you're playing. This is like best in slot. Final Slash of Blade Dance deals an additional 72% damage. Now this really ties into First Blood, which also increases your Blade Dance damage and reduces its cost, and Mortal Dance. Blade Dance reduces the target's healing. Now you can see the synergy. For the next row, we go Defensive. Condemned Animosphere. When you take any damage, heal for 4% of your maximum health. This can only occur once every 10 seconds. Again, self-healing, defensive all the way. Next one is Ultimate Form. While channeling Fleshcraft, you are immune to crowd control. Self-explanatory why we should use this. And you regenerate 2% health every 1 second. If you finish the full channel, you gain 3 seconds of crowd control immunity, during which you generate 2% health every 1 second. This is especially good for demon hunters because we are so easy to CC. For the next row, Growing Inferno. Immolation's aura damage increased by 18%. And as you can see, this is an improved talent row because, hey, I got some renown. Immolation aura, you use it off cooldown every time. It has increased damage now, and you can use that increased damage Fell Rush with Unbound Chaos talent. Don't forget that sometimes Immolation aura could reveal the enemies that are stealthed. Next row, Viscous Trail. When struck by a snare, and we get that a lot, Frost Nova and Tangling Roots, you drop a puddle that lasts for 10 seconds. Enemies that step into the puddle are slowed by 70% for 5 seconds. Next row, Viscous Egg. Demonic Words reduce magic damage taken by an additional 8%. We need magic damage reduced as well because many casters are really problematic for us. Especially mages. The other casters I think we can deal with 1v1, but mages are really strong. And for the last talent, which comes with the Plague Divisor, Kevin's Oozling. I like this talent because Fathers with the Flame summons Kevin Oozlings to fight alongside you for 40 seconds. You basically have a minion with you. His attacks cause your enemies to take 6% additional damage from you. So you could use this to increase your Fell Rush damage to another 6%, which makes it 506% if you have your Immolation Aura before Fell Rush. And he periodically grants your allies an Absorb Shield that absorbs 221 damage. It's a small one, but it helps against dots, for example. So this is for the conduits. As a stat priority for a Havoc Demon Hunter, you should go, and this is only for PvP, I don't know how it's in PvE, is Agility, Haste, Versatility, Critical Strike, and Mastery. I would say Versatility is more important because it increases your damage done and reduces your damage taken in PvP. Versatility is very important for PvP. That's why you should buy PvP gear and upgrade it as much as possible, especially with these changes in PvP that you're gonna have a lot more item level from any item while you're in a PvP instance. For example, I have a 236 weapon, but it's 249 PvP, and with this gear I'm 241 outside of a PvP scenario, but in PvP scenario I have 250 item level. And you should have both of your PvP trinkets because the set increases your damage and healing benefit of versatility by 40%. Things worth mentioning: if you want to use your defensives, you should always go for darkness first, because in an 8-yard radius, friendly targets have a 20% chance to avoid all damage from an attack. You can also use this to help your partner. If you're feeling you're in a lot of trouble, always cast Blur. If that's still not enough, you use Netherwalk. But beware, Netherwalk cannot be used when you're CC'd. Make sure you're not CC'd. Last but not least, use Rain from Above. This is like a full defense strategy if you need it. Obviously have Fleshcraft up on cooldown if you can, and Father to the Flame, which helps you more on that. Concerning Father to the Flame, do not sacrifice movement and positioning just to get your demon. They last 25 seconds there, so you have enough room to maneuver, especially if you're playing with Master of the Glaive. And the Demon Soul also lingers for about 20 seconds after you kill the demon. I use the Collective Anguish legendary, and you should socket everything you have with versatility. I heard that Burning Wound is also a good legendary, but I will have to test it first, and sometimes still, I just do not want to do Torghast. Alright, so I hope this guide was helpful. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you still have questions, or if I missed anything, let me know in the comments. I hope this guide makes you better at playing Havoc Demon Hunter, helps you improve your PvP rating, and I will see you guys next time. Peace!